I got really smart. I got really smart at, you know, being empathic.
Monitoring, making things good for everybody.
Yeah. And so now it's like, that's not my job. You know, I'm finding like that's not ever been my job. My job has been to, and then of course I had to like break free in like the most toxic way possible and go through that dark night of the soul journey.
How fun.
I know, yeah, exactly, girl. It was fun. I'm not gonna lie, it was very eye-opening. And I'm so glad you said that's hilarious.
Oh, because
it was
crazy.
You had that.
Oh my God. I've had like 3 of them.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And each one was so much fun. Scary as hell.
Yeah.
But man, they were so much fun. And so now I'm like, am I ever gonna get another one? I'm sure I will. But they were so much fun. Yeah. So how many have you had?
Well, yeah, I guess I would say I've had 2 really hard ones, like 2 deep and strong ones.
So which one was
the Dark Night of the Soul was the last one.
Okay.
The first
how
one
long was that?
That was 2017, I want to say. It was a good 2 years, 2017 to 2019.
Wow.
And I like left everything. It was crazy and just went on my way. But
what do you mean? Okay, what do you mean you left everything? What did you leave?
I was living in Kentucky. I was living in Lexington, Kentucky, and let me make sure this is okay. Good. Okay, I just had this thing. I was like, it's not recording. We need to record all this. Okay, I was living in Lexington, Kentucky. I was an employment consultant for an agency, and where I was helping people with disabilities and other barriers to employment to get jobs. And it was a great job. I worked with people with masters in counseling. I had no degree. But again, that was a situation where I was in school, and this is what happens to me in life. I was in school, and then I got offered. While I was in school, I met what turned out to be my boss waiting tables, like waiting on her. And so, and it was my first salary position I'd ever been offered. You know, I'm 20 something and I'm like, okay, you know, thinking like I need a job like this, you know. Actually, I turned it down at first, which is funny, but that's another story. But then I was like, somebody convinced me to do it, which in the grand scheme of things, again, everything was somebody else's idea. It wasn't mine. But I've just always had stuff come to me. And of course, in retrospect, it was a great job, like, because I worked with people with disabilities from all ranges. So it was from Down syndrome, and I had to help them get jobs. So from Down syndrome to developmental disabilities, Asperger's, to very high functioning ADD, PhDs, you know. So what I was exposed to in that time frame that I never imagined was that, wow, everybody has disability, honestly. Like, I mean, you know, to some degree, most people do. And also I learned and realized during that time that like a lot of people are on medication in every sector, you know, your teachers, your doctors, you know, they're on medication for something a lot of times, you know, whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression, whether it's insomnia, whatever. People are like, so what that taught me was just that, you know, ADD, whatever the case may be, it just taught me that nobody's perfect. Like nobody, like, you know, we go around and we think that, we think everyone working in the government is perfect. And I mean, we know now, I mean, if any time we should feel like if at any time we should feel like, and this ties into the question, to your question of like what I did, you know, so I'm just taking a long way about it, but I'm going to cut it short. But if anything, now more than ever, we should realize that we do not need to be perfect to lead our community, to lead in our community and lead in the world. I mean, if anything, that our current president has taught us is that it doesn't matter what you've done in the past, you still have you have just as much authority to lead as anyone else, and that actually is a good thing.